معنا من نيو جيرسي جيسون جرينبلات المبعوث الأمريكي السابق لعملية السلام في الشرق الأوسط. أهلا بك سيد جيسون. هناك من خروج هذا التصعيد عن السيطرة، ألا يأخذ الجانب الأمريكي الداعم الأول لإسرائيل هذه المخاوف على محمل الجد أو بعين الاعتبار؟
Yes, but what the United States takes in consideration, as well as Israel and many of its other friends and allies around the world, is that there were atrocities committed by Hamas. Hamas went into Israel, raped women, burned babies, murdered civilians, dragged their bodies around, took them captive, murdered children in front of their parents. This is a war. It's a war that not only affects Israel, it's a war that's going to affect Israel's Arab neighbors, with organizations like Hamas, who are no friends of the Palestinians, by the way, they could care less about Palestinian civilians. With organizations like Hamas and Houthis and Hezbollah around, the world is in danger. So while it might spiral out of control, at some point we have to ask ourselves, when do we finally take charge and try to take the world back from terrorists, from bloodthirsty savages?
هل تعتقد أن معالجة الفظائع مثلما أسميتها تكون بارتكاب فظائع أخرى بحق المدنيين في غزة؟
I'm not following the question. Can you repeat it?
في إسرائيل بالفظائع التي ارتكبتها حركة حماس، هل باعتقادك أن الحل يكون بارتكاب فظائع أخرى وربما أكبر من قبل إسرائيل بحق المدنيين في غزة؟
If you're suggesting that any country, Israel or anyone else, when they go into another country because they need to take care of those that attacked them, that's considered an atrocity, I find that question a false question. If a country is attacked and its citizens are murdered, the government of that country has no choice but to defend its citizens. They go into other countries in order to defend their citizens. Yes, there will be casualties, very tragically. There will be many Palestinians, and of course Israelis, who lose their lives. But if you're suggesting that Israel should just sit back and say, sure, come and kill us and we're not going to do anything, I don't know of any country that would do that. I don't think any Arab country would allow another country to come in, do what they did to their citizens, and then sit back and say, well, there will be casualties and therefore we can't defend ourselves.
التي نتحدث فيها هناك قصف للمنازل على رؤوس المدنيين. طيب، إدارة بايدن كانت من أكثر الإدارات وضوحا بخصوص انتقاد المستوطنات وانتقاد كذلك يمينية حكومة نتنياهو، وحذرت من تداعيات ذلك. الآن وقعت هذه التداعيات، أليس من الأولى أن يلام الطرف المتسبب في وقوع هذا السيناريو، هذا المآل؟
So let me understand what you're saying. You're saying that because there's a land dispute or other problems between two societies, Israeli and Palestinian, that it's okay for hundreds of, or thousand, I think, Hamas terrorists to go in and burn babies and decapitate people and rape women and drag them into captivity? Is that what you're saying? That a land dispute allows civilization to unravel and people could commit those kinds of atrocities? I just want to make sure I get what you're actually asking.
سؤالي واضح بخصوص أن إدارة بايدن لطالما انتقدت سياسة الاستيطان التي انتهجتها حكومة نتنياهو، ولطالما انتقدت الوزراء الأشد تطرفا مثل بن كفير سموتريتش وغيرهما، وحذرت من تداعيات ذلك. الآن وقعت هذه التداعيات.
Israel has a democratically elected government. I don't agree with Ben Gvir's comments, but I'm not sure what Ben Gvir's comments has to do with the actions, the barbaric actions that were committed by Hamas. I'm really not understanding your question. What does what Ben Gvir says, whether you and I disagree with it or not,
بصيغته الأبسط.
Do you think Ben Gvir's comments, even though some of them may have been hateful, are on the same level as butchering Jews? I'm like flabbergasted. I don't understand your question. If Ben Gvir says things that are anti-Palestinian, which I don't agree with either, by the way, does that mean that Palestinian terrorists have the right to go in and slay Jews?
محو مدينة حوار عن الوجود. إذا ما تحدثنا عن موضوع الآن يجري الحديث عنه بقوة، سيناريو ترحيل الفلسطينيين إلى دول الجوار وبالتالي ترحيل هذه الأزمة إلى خارج فلسطين، هل تعتقد أن هذا هو الحل؟
I do not. I think whoever said it, I don't remember if it was Ben Gvir or a different minister, whoever said that was a disgusting comment. And I think they took it back, but regardless of whether they took it back, it was a disgusting comment. And talking about expelling Palestinians is wrong too. But there's just no connection to the slaughter of Jews, of civilians that Hamas perpetrated.
لما زار اليوم تل أبيب سيزور وزير الدفاع الأمريكي غدا كذلك تل أبيب. إلى أين تدفع واشنطن الأمور؟ ما الذي تريده الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية أن يتحقق في هذه المرحلة؟
I think what I'm seeing out of the Biden administration is strong, unbreakable support of Israel, which pleases me, even though I was a Trump person and I've had my criticism of President Biden and his Middle East policy. On this, I think he's been very strong. I think Secretary Blinken's visit and remarks in Israel were very strong. I think he was shaken to his core by the photos of what he saw of the barbaric murders of babies. And I assume that the Secretary of Defense will be equally shaken and equally supportive of Israel. And I think the message of the United States government is a warning to all the terror groups, not just Hamas, but Hezbollah and the Houthis and even the Iranian regime. Be careful, because if you mess with Israel, we are here to defend Israel. And that inures, by the way, to the benefit of our friends and allies in the Gulf, all of our friends and allies, and not just in the Gulf, but Israel's other Arab neighbors as well. This is a war of civilizations. It's a war of evil versus good. Hamas is evil, and it's going to destroy lives. It's going to destroy Israeli lives, Palestinian lives, and if it drags in the rest of the region, it's going to destroy many, many lives. It's time for people to recognize the difference between good and evil.
جيسون جرينبلات المبعوث الأمريكي السابق لعملية السلام في الشرق الأوسط حدثنا من نيو جيرسي. شكرا لك.
Thank you for having me.